Hello and welcome to Lantern Lane Stories. Tonight's story is The Beetle Collector. The mount stood high above the river Severn. Its 7-acre garden stretched green and secret in morning mist. The year was 1814, and 8-year-old Charles Darwin knelt in the moss, still wearing his nightshirt under his coat. His fingers already stained with wet earth pushed apart the damp ground there. A click beetle, its shell hard and dark as polished wood, tumbling slowly through the moss. Charles held his breath. Not a moment to move, or the insect would right itself and disappear into the soil. He had only seconds to watch how it flipped, how the curve of its back worked like a tiny spring. "I've got you," he whispered to the beetle. Not unkindly, more like a promise. His small glass jar, already waiting in his pocket, received the insect gently. Through the curved glass, the beetle's colors shifted. Midnight blue, where it caught the light, deep purple in the shadow. Charles had never seen purple quite like that before. His feet pulled him deeper into the garden. The air smelled of river mud and crushed herb plants. His mother had planted sage and rosemary near the path. But Charles's eyes weren't on flowers. They were hunting for more beetles, more shells, more of the small hard things that the earth kept hidden in moss and underbark. By mid-morning, his jar held 6 beetles, 3 snail shells, and a stone shot through with silver veins. 3 days later, Charles sat on a hard wooden bench in Shrewsbury school. The room smelled of ink and old cloth. All around him, boys hunched over their copybooks, writing Latin conjugations in careful lines. The schoolmaster's voice droned on, rising and falling like wind through winter branches. Amo, amas, amat. The master recited, "Love you love, he loves." Charles wrote the words without hearing them. His hand moved. The letters appeared on the page, but his mind had stayed behind in the garden, crouched in the damp earth. He could see the beetles as clearly as if they were in front of him now. The way they bent their legs. The tiny hairs on their shells that he'd only noticed when holding them close to his eyes. Why did one beetle have 7 spots and another had 9? Did it matter? Was there a reason? These questions felt more important than any conjugation. By the time the bell rang, a bronze bell in the tower, his copybook was only half filled. The other boys jumped up, eager for their bread and cheese. Charles felt nothing but the weight of wanting to be outside, in the turning over of stones, in the patient watching of small lives beneath the bark. At the mount that evening, Charles spread his treasures across the wide windowsill of his bedroom. His older brother Erasmus was away at university, which meant the room was his alone. He had arranged the beetles in a row, carefully, so that the darkest ones sat nearest the lamp. The shells he had found near the river, whelks and mussels, some spiraled tight as fists, he placed in another line. Smallest to largest, his father came to say goodnight as he did every evening. Dr. Robert Darwin, the town's wealthy physician, entered with his walking stick and his serious face. But when he saw the window, he stopped. The beetles caught the candlelight, the shells gleamed. For a moment, his stern mouth softened. "You've a collector's eye, Charles?" his father said. Not a scold, not a doubt. Just a statement, simple as fact. Look at how you've arranged them, each in its place. You're asking questions with your hands. His father pointed to a particularly large beetle. Its shell was iridescent as oil on water. "Do you know what this one is?" Charles shook his head, suddenly nervous that he didn't, but his father only smiled. "Then you've found your first mystery. Tomorrow, you might search for its name." That night, Charles slept better than he had in weeks. His jar of new beetles sat beside his bed. Tomorrow he would look for their names in his father's books, and the day after he would return to the garden. And the day after that, the collecting had begun not as a game, but as something deeper, a way of asking the world questions. By the time autumn came to Shrewsbury, Charles's bedroom had transformed into a cabinet of wonders. Beetles in 3 glass boxes, arranged by size, by color, by the shape of their shells, stones from the riverbank. Snail shells of 17 different kinds, bird feathers gathered from under the eaves. He had written names beneath some treasures in shaky letters: click beetle, river snail, rook feather. One afternoon, watching a beetle disappear beneath a log, Charles realized something. The question wasn't just what was this creature, but why was it built this way? Why did one beetle have a flat shell and another a rounded dome? The answer wasn't in any schoolroom. It was hidden in the earth, in the dirt, in the patient watching of things that most people never noticed. He didn't know, as he knelt in the damp ground of his family's garden, that one day he would travel the world aboard a ship called the Beagle. He didn't know that the questions he was asking about beetles would grow into much larger questions about life itself. He knew only that his mind was happiest when it was hunting, collecting, arranging, and wondering, why is this? How does it work? What does it mean? And as dusk settled over Shrewsbury, 8-year-old Charles Darwin sat with his treasures. He had found his true home not in a schoolroom, but here among the small things, asking questions the whole world would one day want to answer. And so Shrewsbury also slowly fell asleep. Good night.